We will go ahead and continue our availabilities with Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 FedEx Office Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Just raise your hand if you have one and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll start over here to the left with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. I do have one for last week. Did y'all ever figure out what happened to the car? Have y'all gone through it? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I figured it out. No.
We'll come down here to Al and then Hank.
Well, you said you were going to look at it, so.
I'm not myself, but somebody did.
Denny Al, Pearson Auto Week. You've been in good equipment your entire career. You've never had to be back with the hooligans. Do you ever feel like you have an obligation to maybe approach a driver or two and say to them, hey, I know you're struggling, you're back here, you're trying to get better, why don't you try this? Do you feel any obligation to coach anybody else?
No, not really. I mean, everyone's fighting for their own particular race, and everyone's got their own victories that finishing positions that they consider victories. I think that you really have probably, 15 cars in the field that probably know when they show up that, they're not going to win unless you have something like, with the 77 at Daytona. I mean, it's just they're running for their own personal victories, and whether it be for money or it be for trying to get some sponsors, things like that. So everyone's out there doing their own things, and you just I've always helped everyone that's approached me asking for help, but certainly we're so caught up in trying to make our own stuff run good, and it's so competitive up at the front that you just on a race weekend specifically, you just don't have much time.
Go to Hank behind him.
Hey, Denny, as a teammate, when Kyle gets as animated as he was last week, how long does that last? And does that make him tougher to contend with the next week?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, how it affects him for days or weeks to come after that. But, I mean, I think it's frustration. I mean, obviously, everyone handles frustration differently, and that's kind of how he handles his, which is okay.
We'll go to Nick, and then we'll go in the back to Sean.
Nick Vandalon, RSN. Denny, building off the first question, with the 52, I think he was 12 laps down. He was in the middle lane. Do you think there's an etiquette, depending on the track, that drivers should follow when they're that many laps down in the closing stages?
No, I mean, I think, I don't know. I mean, I find it tough to really put any blame on the 52. I think he held his line. He didn't switch lanes. Now, I didn't see the previous corners or anything like that. I don't know if he ran a different lane than what he had run in the previous laps. But as cars were passing you, I mean, I can relate basically when you like at Darlington, right? I had a damaged car, so I was a second off the pace. So, I mean, it's a tough job to stay out of the way. I literally had to run the apron like in the dirt just to make sure, because everyone runs a different line, and you can't. There's no way their spotter or the driver can keep up with where everyone is running that's coming up behind you. So you just try to stay in that one particular lane and hope everyone has, it's really the spotter's fault. It's the spotter's responsibility of the fast car to tell you where he's been running. And as long as you know where he's been running, you can adapt and get around him usually without any problem. So, like I say, I didn't see any lane change or anything in that particular corner, but I don't know about the laps before. But like I said, he had, I think, someone below him. So I really didn't see any fault from anyone. I think that Kyle just drove in there and guessed wrong on where he was going to be and ran the back of him.
We'll go to Sean, then to Zach, and then over here to Tyler.
Denny back here. Sean Robertson, WTVR, CBS 6. I asked your two teammates, Eric and Martin, about, are you still in a mindset of exchanging information with teammates as you're now in the postseason, or do you have that mindset as I'm focused on my team and my team only to win a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't change anything, especially this early in the playoffs, or really any time. But I don't change anything because I hopefully rely on that same information to get exchanged back to me when I need it. So I think it's in all of our best interest to share everything as much as we can and feed off of each other, because usually when someone has good information that relates to the other, then the other people can put that in their car, and then when they find something better yet, that goes back to the other guy. So it helps each other. You're helping a teammate to then get closer to you, so that when you're racing each other or in practice and they've got the same thing and they find some more speed, that information comes back and you get faster. So it's just a circle of trust.
Zach
Over here,
Tansworthy, kickingthetires.net over here. You've won here 3 times, but your first one came here 10 years ago. I believe last week was the 10-year anniversary. Can you take me back to what that win did for you at the time? Not only your home track, but you had some heartbreaks here before.
Yeah, that one was great. I've definitely had a handful before that slipped away from us, but that one was it was special just simply because we had been so fast here every single time we came, and then finally, came through during that year in 2009. So that just it was special. I mean, that one holds a special meaning. For the longest time I had the date of my first Richmond win on my shoes for probably 5 or 6 years. So it's definitely significant, being that it is in the hometown.
We'll go to Tyler.
Tyler Burnett, MRN. Denny, I know you're a huge sports fan. How much do you enjoy playing fantasy football, and why? And are you feeling confident in your teams already after week 2?
One of them yes, one of them no. But I really this year I've not. I've probably watched 5 total quarters of football. Just can't. I don't have the time, or just busy. I'm just busy doing other stuff at the moment. So it's just. I tried to get out of all my leagues, and they all refused to let me leave. So they said they were going to auto draft my team, and if I didn't do it, so I didn't want that to happen.
Are there any final questions? We'll go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Today's one day, tomorrow's another day, obviously, but your times looked pretty good in practice, and it seemed like you'd almost be the runaway favorite at this point. How do you feel going into tomorrow night with what you did in practice?
Yeah, I felt pretty good with it. I thought that we had a couple decent runs. I thought that really there's 5 or 6 other guys that are kind of right there, pretty close, and so I don't anticipate a runaway. If we do, it'll be a great change of pace. But I just just looking back at the spring race here, we had to start last for qualifying deal, and it took the entire race to get up to the top 5. It's amazing, how much aerodynamics plays an effect on such a short track like this, but it is very, very tough to pass, and so it's not impossible, but certainly it's tough. So it's just if you get back in the pack, if you make a mistake, you will not win this race. There will be nobody with a speeding penalty come back and win this race. You can mark that down, or any pit road penalty.
All right. That's it. Thank you, Denny. Good luck this weekend.